You know, JP Morgan didn't jeopardize the system. We did not cause the crisis. We did not need TARP, and we have 3 times more capital than we had back then. Okay, we didn't lose money. How much do you think we lost in the 9 quarters after the Lehman crisis? And people guess 5 billion, 10 billion. We made 20 or 30 billion dollars. We were not jeopardizing anyone. In fact, we helped. We bought WAMU, we bought Bear Stearns, we saved 30,000 jobs in doing so. We helped governments, cities, schools, states, hospitals that probably wouldn't have survived but for JP Morgan stepping up to do something well. So, but I understand the concept. The American public saw a disaster. It wasn't their fault, and generally it was Wall Street and Washington. And they absolutely have the right to say, we want a safe and sound banking system that doesn't cost me money and doesn't take down my economy. Those are true. That does not mean, it's a false logic to say, therefore all of these rules and regulations are good. They're unrelated. So the American public's been told that you know, whatever bank wants, don't do it. Any, you know, strengthen Dodd-Frank. That's not accurate, okay? Some of these things, a lot of the things in Dodd-Frank had nothing to do with the crisis. I mean, zero, nada. They were just the pet peeves of certain Democrats who just put things in because they felt like it. Someone said to me once, anything that has the name of a senator on it, that was their bad part. You know, like Barney Frank and I agreed on some of the things that should have been in there. Anytime you've done major legislation and major regulations, and they're different, by the way, it's perfectly reasonable for people to look back, reanalyze, recalibrate, think it through, talk about what good it did, what damage it did, how we can help. Folks, we have not solved the housing market with mortgages. Because we haven't solved that issue, which is among 7 agencies or something like that, banks and other institutions are afraid to make mortgages to first-time home buyers, self-employed, or people who had a prior bankruptcy. Now, people who had a prior bankruptcy, you know, 80% of the time is perfectly legitimate. There's nothing wrong with them. It was usually due to death, divorce, disease, loss of job. Not in one case was it you would say it was a bad person. They deserve a second chance. We haven't fixed that. You know, I would look at some of the rules and regulations of reducing credit available in the system, but they do not create more safety and soundness. And I don't want to bore you with the details about that. So Dodd-Frank isn't the Bible, okay? And you know, to me, matter of fact, even Chuck Schumer used to say to me, look, eventually these huge legislative will be opened up and we'll relook at it, recalibrate it, synchronize it, you know, reduce the negative parts of the cost that has no benefit, while still accomplishing the ultimate goal. So it's a perfectly reasonable thing to look at these things and try to figure out what you can do better, as opposed to a knee-jerk reaction. You know, everything that was put in place was good.
Talking about minimum wage, that's been one of your big pushes, and you believe it's vital to growth as well. And as you said, you've moved up at JP Morgan. We now have a nominee for labor secretary who's been one of the most open advocates against raising the minimum wage, and has been quite firm about that.
I don't think so, because what I read, what he said is that the government should be very careful about raising its minimum wage too high. It should be a decision made at a local level. Because you all, you know, a lot of businesses, you know, can afford, California and New York can afford $15, you know, New York City, but upstate New York probably can't. Okay, so I think he was saying that he's not against states raising it thoughtfully that it can help people. I'm kind of in favor of that. I would be not in favor of the federal government doing it and imposing real hardships. But the other thing is, if you can afford it, I say if you're a business that can afford it, raise it. Share the wealth a little bit. Okay? I tell the people at JP Morgan, I'm more worried about the pay of our lower paid people than our higher paid people. You know? So, but the other thing is to help society is the earned income tax credit. That's my example is that will help small business. So if you're a small business that needs wages at $10 an hour to get by, and you can't afford medical, so I'm not saying you're a bad person, but that's how you survive, then this will really help you. You can attract better people, they'll be paid more, you'll probably have less attrition, and allow you to maybe afford more benefits over time. So there are solutions to this. And us raising it is just a teeny piece of it.